When you start a fitness training program, how much can you expect to actually improve? What type of gains will you see? What's even realistic? Well, unfortunately, even if I knew your exact training program and your training history, I couldn't answer that. The only way to acquire that type of practical knowledge is to do it yourself and observe the outcome. And so that's exactly what I've done. So join me as I summarize my training gains from my previous workout cycle. My goal with this video is threefold: to demonstrate the value of tracking your workouts to both motivate you and optimize your future training plans, to give you a reference point, not for what's possible, because my results are not exceptional or near the cutting edge, but a reference point for what's probable, because you, just like me, are most likely to achieve results that are quite near the average. And average results, month after month, year after year, become incredible. And finally, to champion the typical athlete, a normal person, like you or me, without supernatural levels of determination or even physical talent, making steady progress, which over time compounds into truly atypical results. I've decided to split this video into two parts. This short-form video, where I share the summarized data and the value of keeping a rigorous training journal over time, and a longer-form video in which I'll go through my training log, exercise by exercise, dig into the data a bit deeper, and share my lessons learned and action plan to improve my next training cycle. So for all you data dorks out there, the link will be in the description and suggested at the end of this video. So let's first set the scene and add some color and context to these numbers. During this training cycle, I was a 31-year-old male with a training history of about 6 years total. However, I'm still in my first year of working on pushing and pressing movements, so I still identify as a beginner there. The time period was 12 weeks from September to December of last year. During this period, I completed 31 workouts, which is a frequency of 1 every 2.7 days, or an average of 2.6 workouts per week. So in practice, that's 2 or 3 workouts every week, depending on my recovery and my non-training life schedule. So this is actually fairly low frequency. My split was essentially a push-pull daily undulating periodization, meaning that I alternated between both push and pull focused sessions, as well as high intensity low rep days and high volume high rep days. These workouts took 50 to 60 minutes to complete, depending on the session. Another important bit of context is that I actually did much more physical activity during this time period than what I'm sharing with you here. This is just the rigorously tracked, methodically overloaded part of my training. I also bouldered and rock climbed at least weekly, jogged for aerobic recovery and leg training on many of my rest days, and completed my level 1 AIDA freediving certification. So it's not as if I'm moving for 2 or 3 hours a week and I'm otherwise sedentary. My Garmin watch says I averaged 520 intensity minutes, or about 8.5 hours, and that wouldn't include all of the walking and cycling I do about town, where my heart rate isn't elevated. On this channel, you'll see that I'm a big believer in training and moving in order to improve performance and enjoy other activities in my life, rather than having training become my whole life. So this sort of training frequency is about the maximum that I can sustain while still making gains and recovering from the more complex sports and activities that I enjoy. Now, with all that context in mind, here are the results. I've graphed the percent change from the first workout to last workout of 2 different metrics. Rep max intensity, which is just the amount in kilos that my rep max increased from the first to the last workout. I've grouped these maxes into 4 different rep ranges. And the last metric is workout volume, which is just the reps times the kilos, so it's the total weight moved during the workout for one specific exercise. So on the left hand, we have a 5 rep max intensity increase of 8%. And then we have a 7 rep max, which went up by 7.7%. Across the exercises where I achieved 11 to 16 rep maxes, I averaged a 10.8% increase in intensity. And then we jump up to the 21 to 24 rep maxes, and we see a much larger increase of 20%. Notice that there's a general trend towards higher intensity increases as the rep scheme increases. This makes sense, as we know that muscular endurance is generally quicker to improve than maximum strength. The further you train from your 1 rep max, the faster you'll be able to improve your relative intensity, but the smaller the impact it will have on your maximum intensity, at least in the short term. In the long term, higher rep ranges are quite effective at building muscle, and thus are important for long-term strength development. The line in the middle that we see is the average rep max increase across all exercises at 12.5%. On the far right, we have the average workout volume across all exercises. So it's important to note that each of these exercises, in which we worked from 5 to 24 repetitions, not only increased intensity measurably, also increased volume by 17%. That means it wasn't just peaking or reducing the volume in order to achieve a higher intensity. I'm actually lifting heavier and for more reps. All in all, I'm very happy with these results. I didn't know what to expect, as this is the first time I'm calculating these metrics for a training cycle. If you're curious, stay tuned for the next video where I describe a few of the specific lessons learned. My hunch is that these gains are pretty average, and thus, pretty realistic for most of you out there. But I also believe that that's something to be very excited about. Average gains, year after year, become incredible. If you look at anyone who is impressively strong or has a fantastic physique, they don't have some secret hack that got them there with no effort. They actually just executed a simple plan for years without stopping. The most successful people in any field are those who've been doing it the longest while focusing on learning every step along the way. Thanks so much for watching, folks. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more videos like these.